Archie's Madhouse, issue 53. Sabrina says she'll never make it to school in time as she knocks over a mailman running past them. She's a witch, why didn't she just warp to school? She could set her location to a place that she'd know for sure that no one would see her in. She can erase memories anyways, so why would she even need to care if she gets spotted? Oh, surprisingly she does realize this and warp. That doesn't excuse the first panel existing. She should have figured this out earlier. Anyone with teleportation power their whole life would have gotten into the habit of teleporting at every opportunity out of laziness. I guess she was late for the school bus. I'm guessing her use of magic will backfire on her for the sake of the plot. Or maybe not because it's too early in the story. Did anyone see her? No, it doesn't seem like it. She wants to ask Jimmy to take her to the dance contest. Someone smells her in home economics class and asks to sample her work. She slurps it and hates the taste and fire comes out of her mouth. Sabrina is confused because when she was told to make a stew, she misheard it as brew. She wouldn't have made that mistake. She would have been told which ingredients to use. Because it's a cooking class. So she wouldn't have brought those ones. Her teachers fainted. You'd think she would be doomed to be kicked out of class from this, if she's too stupid to erase people's memories. I guess she did. But it is interesting that she made a brew instead of stew by habit because she's a witch. So she hears brew more. It takes advantage of that. She goes to her gym class and is told to put the basketball in the basket. She recklessly uses magic in a subtle way by tossing the basketball over her shoulder and effortlessly putting it in the basket. Usually when magic is used in the Sabrina comics, there's a zap sound effect drawn and a flash of light. But not here. But this has to be magic. A girl wants to ask Jimmy to take her to the dance contest. So Sabrina casts a spell on the bull to make it intercept anyone who tries to talk to Jimmy. She's probably doing this instead of making the spell specific to her because she's trying to make sure that absolutely nobody would ask him out. Not even some theoretical other girl. But still, she should have known this could backfire by someone being targeted who wouldn't want to ask Jimmy to the dance contest. At least Sabrina thought the spell instead of saying it. The coach wants to talk to Jimmy, so he gets hit by the ball. I don't like when the writing in Sabrina is predictable. The appeal of the series is that because Sabrina is capable of so many different spells, you never know what's going to happen next. Sabrina wants to ask Jimmy out before anyone else gets hurt. At least she regrets her mistake. So she's not evil anymore? I wish we knew what convinced her to change. She gets hit by the ball too, predictably, because she forgot to call it off. And for some reason her magic thought she'd want the ball to hit her too. A girl points out that the bell rang and tells Jim to leave her, saying that she'll be alright. Jimmy must be a real asshole to actually leave her instead of staying with her until she gets up, and making sure she'll be okay. Is that girl really so desperate to ask him to the contest first, that she's rushing him out of the room instead of caring about Sabrina? She could have a concussion for all she knows. I think it'd be more realistic for everyone to be worried. Anyway, Sabrina looks at the clock and says she might be late for her English class. At least it's exciting that I'm getting to see a full story where Sabrina's going to various different classes in school. A full day in school, for once. You'd be surprised how rare that is in the series. Usually you only see one type of class in a story. I love this idea for a story, but I don't love when it's forced that her magic backfires. She warps to her class and tells her teacher that she's right behind him. She's right in front of a student. He would have seen her. In fact, everyone in class would have seen her warp in. But somehow, she doesn't freak everyone out and get them commenting on what just happened. I can only generously assume that the story skipped past her using magic to erase their memories of her warping in. Maybe part of her warp spell was making it so that nobody would question it, and would think she was there all along seconds later. Sabrina's told to go to the blackboard and write the composition she did for homework that she didn't do. Since when are people asked to write an English composition on a blackboard in front of the entire class? She says a spell of silly magic words in front of the whole class, and somehow she said her incantation backwards by accident. So her composition is backwards. Also, you'd think they'd all be a bit more concerned about the fact that she clearly pointed at the blackboard and magically made the composition appear. I guess everyone knows she's a witch already and is cool with it, now that I remember the previous two stories where that was the case. He gives her a failing grade, rather than just asking her to write the composition properly. He's a bad teacher. It's good that she says Brenda is the cause of all her trouble, because that gets me more on her side when she uses magic against her, telling her to let Brenda disappear into a hole in the wall. But her mercy with her instead of doing much worse to her backfires, because Brenda appears in Jimmy's locker and gets to ask him to the dance. You mean dance contests, comic. The story ends with Sabrina writing "I shall not use witchcraft in school" on the blackboard, while saying that she decided to punish herself. It's funny because how confused would a teacher be? Realistically, Sabrina wouldn't have had this problem. She could have shrunken Brenda to a tiny size instead, or actually made her disappear. She also could have simply brainwashed her to not want to ask Jimmy to the dance contest right away. She could have brainwashed Jimmy so that he'd never agree to take anyone to the dance contest except Sabrina. And if everyone knows she's a witch, she could just telepathically ask him. I feel bad for Sabrina here. It never made sense that things went so badly for her. This story was about Sabrina screwing up the simple task of asking Jimmy to the dance contest and making sure nobody else asks before she does. Somehow she can't even get that right. At least it was refreshing to see her have a full day at school. But it's a bit confusing that we're not told why she stopped dating Donald.